Hi, welcome all. In this video, we will see TestNG part 3. As part of this video, we are going to see execute scripts using testng.xml file, dependency tests, before annotation and after annotation. So first we'll see what is testng.xml file and how to execute the scripts using testng.xml file. So testng.xml file is an XML file, configuration file. So by using testng.xml file, you can execute your test cases and you can control the execution flow, and you can control which test case to execute, which test case not to execute, and which method you can execute and which method you want to skip. All those things is possible from testng.xml file. So first go to Eclipse. So in this, I want to see why we using testng.xml as discussed in our previous videos, that I want to control the execution flow, right? Instead of creating this runner class and creating objects, all these things we have seen that, right? This one, to avoid all these things, it's a runner. You can say that testng.xml file is a runner to execute your scripts. So how you can create and how you can manage from there. So for this, I want to execute, suppose login. Okay, it is very simple to create. Eclipse has given the option to create testng.xml file very easily. You just right click on this file. Okay, go to TestNG. You will have one option called TestNG. Then you can see that convert to TestNG. One of the options called convert to TestNG. When you click on this, you see that it will generate testng.xml file. Okay, you see that XML configuration, doc type, these two are mandatory. That it indicates that this is this kind of XML file, and the suite name test, and inside that you can write classes. It is a hierarchy. We'll see that. And I want to create for this both. You can select, right click, TestNG, convert to TestNG. So it is taking only registration. Okay, this is not important for us. So right click, TestNG, convert to TestNG. Otherwise you can do right click, new file, testng.xml file. You can do something like that, but already it is giving the provision to create a basic template. That is the reason TestNG, convert to TestNG, and just click on finish. Okay, and it is creating in the Selenium demo outside of all these packages and files. Okay, directly outside of this packages, directly inside the project. You see that Selenium demo testng.xml file, and you can give the suite name, you can give the test name, all these things we'll see, and then finish. You see that testng.xml created. When you double click on this, it will show you design and source. So this is design, we are not interested in this. We'll click on source. So you see that this is the typical XML file. This is a standard. These two lines are some XML standards. From here our actual suite starts. Suite means collection of your tests. Test means collection of classes or packages, something like that. And then here it is showing that suite name equal to whatever name you wanna give, you can give. At the same way test, you can give whatever the name you wanna give. So by default I am leaving like this, we'll see later. So inside the test, so test is a collection of classes. Okay, inside this you will have a tag called classes. Okay, inside the classes you will have class. You see that, class, and the name you need to give fully qualified name. Fully qualified name means with the package name you need to give. So if I give something like that, login, that's it. Okay, I want to execute login. So if I right click, now you will see TestNG suite. When you right click on XML file, right click, run as TestNG suite. If you want to execute class login, run as TestNG test. Here it is TestNG test. Here it is TestNG suite. When I run this, it will execute login test, but it will give you some error now. You see that TestNG exception cannot find class in class path login. I am not saying login, it is saying. So you need to give with package name. What is the package name? TestNG. Okay, TestNG.login. Okay, this is the convention that you need to give with the package name. Now if I run this, you see that it executed 5 tests. If you go here, previously, okay, I'll run the same thing from login, run as TestNG test. So when you go to the results, you see that default suite, default test. But when I run this from here, you see that suite test. Instead of default suite, default test, it is saying suite and test. So this name it is taking. Previously, we are not using testng.xml file, even though internally it will create one temporary temp XML file and it will create. For that, the suite name is default suite and the test name is default test. But here we can change. I can change like something like Selenium suite. I can say Selenium test. Now if I run this, you see that Selenium suite and then Selenium test. So these names coming from this suite name. Okay, till here nothing great. Even I can execute test.login directly from here. But what is the use of testng.xml file? So now if I want to execute more than one class, so very simple. Again you create class name equal to testng.registration. That's it, that's simple. No need to create an object.methods. All these things are not needed. Directly you can execute your class. But when you come to the runner, I cannot create the simply creating object. If I run, it will not execute any method. I need to mention which methods to execute. But coming to here, if you mention the class, inside the class how many methods are there, everything will get execute. Okay, now if I run, now you see that inside the Selenium suite, inside the Selenium test, you see two classes, testng.login, testng.registration. When I expand this, you see all the methods executed. When I expand this, all the methods inside that executed. Okay, this way you can simply execute your all tests. If you have 100, you just mention 100 classes here, that's it. No need to create an object, no need to call which method to execute all these things. Okay, now I want to execute only particular methods. I want to execute only particular methods. Otherwise, I'll remove this. You see, you can execute packages also. Inside the package, TestNG package I want to execute. See, I have 100 classes, but 100 classes inside a package. I want to execute all 100 classes. No need to mention class tag 100 times. You just mention one single line package. Inside the package, how many classes are there? They'll get execute. That simple it is. Single line. You see that? Inside this, what are the executable things? Prioritized, login and registration. So runner is not a TestNG class. So it's skipped. So it is executing all the three inside this package. So that simple it is. So then if I go back to the previous, now in the login, so inside this class, I want to execute particular methods. You see that? I'm getting one tag called methods. Inside that, I want to execute a particular method. You need to mention include tag. So which method you need to? Valid credentials, invalid credentials. That's it. Now inside login class, it will execute only this method. When I run this, you see that inside this only invalid credentials, but from the registration it executed both. Here I need that mentioned which to execute, which not to execute. That is the reason it is executing all the methods inside this, but coming here it is executing only this method. So for example, in the login I have 5. I want to execute 4. I do not want to execute empty credentials, but I want to execute remaining 4. So what I can do? I need to mention include 4 times. But I do not want to execute only this one, right? Then it is very simple that instead of using include for all the methods, you just make it exclude. Exclude and mention this method. Now it will exclude only this method. Apart from this, remaining methods will get execute. That simple it is, the configuration. So run as TestNG suite. You see that inside this, it executed remaining 4 test cases. Only it skipped empty credentials. That simple it is, include and exclude. Right. Now you can create this test again. How many tests you want to create? You can create here. You see, simple. Then I can say this is regression related tests. This is some smoke related. Right. So inside this, I'm executing login. So I can remove this. Here I can remove login. So as part of smoke, I want to execute registration. I want to, in this test, I want to execute these things only. Just an example I'm saying. So inside Scoot, you can create how many tests you want. You see that? This is regression and this is smoke. If I execute now, you see that it created 2 tests. Inside the suite, 2 tests. Inside the regression, I'm executing login. Inside the smoke, I'm executing registration. Alright. So this way, you can configure how you want. I can execute only particular test cases. I can execute particular functionality, means login or registration. I can exclude some methods. I can include some methods. So it's very handy, very flexible. That is the reason TestNG.xml file is very much helpful to control your execution flow. Very simple, no need to create any object, no need to call the methods, all these things. Right, you can do so many things from this. Okay, this is all about TestNG.xml file. Now go to dependency tests. Okay, we'll see dependency test. Very simple. Go to go to the prioritization. Okay, what I'll do, I'll take one more class. I'll make it as dependency test. Okay, in the dependency test I have priority. Previously I'm using priority to execute this one first and this one to next. Okay, that's fine, everything is fine. First sign up test will execute, later login test will execute. That's fine. The reason what we discussed, without sign up I cannot log in. That's fine. But unfortunately sign up test failed because of some reason. Even then also login is no use of executing, right? See, when I say sign up, I'll say, like, I'll give my first name, last name, password, username, password, confirm password, something like that. I signed up. Then using the same credentials, I'll log in now. So without sign up, no meaning of going for login test. This is just an example. Okay, but because of some reason sign up test failed, then it will try to execute login test. There is no meaning of executing login test as I did not sign up. There is an error, right? In that situation you can use dependency test, means attribute. So when you make it as dependency, if the dependent test fails, obviously login test will not even execute. Okay, that is the use of dependency. How can use? Right. This is simple test, no need to give any priority. But here you have depends on methods. You see, depends on methods is equals to, and curly braces, in the codes you just mention the method name. Now login test is depends on sign up test. If because of some reason if this fails, it will not execute, right? So I'll write run as TestNG test. Here you will not find anything, but here also it is dependent on this one, so first it will execute. So sign up test first, login test next. So this is how it will execute. Now I mentioned one topic missing, very important, that is called assertions. Okay, when anyhow we need that now. So how you make it this test fail? So we'll use assert is a class to verify something is correct or not, right? What is the meaning of writing a test case? Until you don't verify anything, right? I need to verify something is true or not. So for that we'll use assert. Assert is a class to verify whether the particular test is passed or not. So we'll see that in a moment, but at present what I'll do, assert true, inside that I'll mention false. So assert true means it will accept some boolean condition and it is expecting true, but I'm giving false. Because of that reason it will fail. Okay, that we'll see, but here I'm failing this test case intentionally. So now when I execute this, you see that when you come here, sign up test failed and it is giving that expected true but found false. So assert expecting true and it is false, that is the reason it failed. And you see that about login test, you see that it is in yellow color, skipped. You see, passed 0, failed 1, yellow color mentioned skipped 1. Reason for skipping is throwable dependency tests dot login test failed. You see, the dependency test failed. depends on not successfully finished methods. The reason is depends on not successfully finished methods. The reason is the dependent test failed. That is the reason I am not able to execute. So I am skipping. Okay, that is what dependency all about. You can mention more than one method also. Just give some, and you can mention multiple methods also. Okay, this is dependency test. So now we'll see assertions. Okay, very important. I missed this. Test public void as a test1, something like that. Test2. Test3. I'll create one more. Enough. So I want to say assert is a class from r.testng. Then if you mention this, you will have assert equals. You see so many overloaded methods, and the same way assert not equals, same overloaded methods. And important is assert true, and then we'll have assert false. So these four are very important. Okay, assert dot assert true, it will accept true condition. Okay, assert dot assert false, it will accept false condition. Okay, I'll say assert dot assert equals 1, 1. Assert dot assert not equals 1, 0. So when I execute this, all tests will pass. You see that all passed. The reason is assert true is a method, it is expecting true. So I am giving true, that is the reason it pass. Assert false will accept false condition. So I am giving false, so it passed. Assert equals, expect both the values should be same inside this. So I am giving 1, 1, both are equal, so it passed. Assert not equals, expect both not equals. So 1, 0 not same, so it passed. So when I say assert true false and assert false true, assert equals 1, 0, assert not equals 0, 0. Now if I execute this, you see that all failed. Test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, and when you expand this, you see expected true but found false, and the second one expected false but found true, and this one expected 0 but found 1, right? 0, 1. You go here, it is expecting 0 but you have given 1. So when you hover on this, you see actual, expected. Expected 0 but actual value is 1, so that is the reason it failed. And the fourth one, it will not give anything null. The reason is not equals, expected what? 0, but not equals means it may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 1 crore, 1.1, 2.1. See what except 0, If you give anything, it will pass. That is the reason it is not able to say which one to expect. What it will expect? It is expecting 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever you will give, it will pass. But coming to this test 3, it knows it is expecting 0 but found 1. That is the reason I failed. But it will not say any reason. It will simply say null. The reason is it is expecting 0. Apart from 0, if you give any value, it will pass. But that any value, it don't know. TestNG do not know that which value to give. That is the reason simply it will say null. Okay. And I'll give you just an example here. I'm not writing anything. So WebDriver is equals to new Chrome driver. Just an example. I need to import this. I need to set the system property, right? I'll take it from any one. From here to here I'll take, from here to here I'll take. I'm just an example I'm giving how to use this one. Once I go there, driver dot get title. Okay, driver dot get title. I'll mention in the string title. Okay, I'll do this in the asset equals. Okay, once I go there, what is the, it is register. Okay, so asset equals what is actual. Actual is, this is coming from by execution, and the expected is register, right? So when I navigate to that particular web page, I am expecting a title called register. So in this situation, once you get the title, you will write asset dot asset equals, then this title and this register. That's it. When I run this, we'll see whether it will execute or not. It should execute, right? You see it is opening the browser. It's done. So I'll close the browser and we'll see what will happen to our execution. Failures 3. Why so? Anyhow, okay, leave all those things. See test 3. I'm interested in test 3. You see that test 3 passed. The reason is it got title expecting this one. When I say you need to register 1, okay, register 1, I'll execute only this test case. So if you want to execute only particular test case, only right click on that method, right click on method, run as TestNG test, then it will execute only that particular method. So this time it should fail. Yeah, it's done. If we close this, you see failed. It executed only test 3 and failed. The reason is expected register 1 but found register, right? When I say driver.get title, it will give me register, but I'm expecting register 1. That is the reason it failed. So this is how you can use assets. Okay, very much helpful. Asset equals most of the times asset true. Okay, very important. Without asset, you cannot conclude an TestNG method. Okay, and then what left? Before annotation and after annotation. Okay, we'll talk about that. So before and after. Okay, before and after. What is the meaning of using before? See, what is the usage of before and after annotations? So when you go to the notes, so you have some set of annotations. What are those? So at the rate test is very important, as this is the actual test method, right? To support this, we have another annotations which support test annotation. Those are at the rate, before, sweet, at the rate, after, sweet, and then at the rate, before test, at the rate, after test. For each before we have after. Before class, at the rate, after class, at the rate, before method, at the rate, after method. You see that? Before seat, before test, before class, before method, right? And then what it will do? It will execute before your TestNG.xml suite starts. If you write something in the before suite method, it will execute before starting of your TestNG.xml suite. So it will execute when? Execute after your TestNG.xml suite ends. Okay, after execution ends. And this one, it will execute before your test tag inside suite starts. We may have more than one test also, right? See, this test, before test means this tag. You have 10 test classes in this side. This, before these 10 test classes, you can write this test. Okay, where is that notes? Yeah. And then coming here, execute after your test tag inside suite ends. Okay, now when it comes to the class, executes before your class starts, means your Java file, executes after your class starts. Class means if you go to login, we have 5 test methods. Before these 5 test methods, it will start executing, and executes for each and every test method starts. So executes for each and every test method ends. So this is all about before and after annotation. So suite means it will execute before your suite starts. So normally how many suites will be there? Very ideal condition, one suite. So before that suite starts, you want to perform something, some particular piece of code you want to execute before your test cases execution starts. So that code can go inside before suite method. And after suite, you have 100 test cases. After 100 test cases executes, you want to do something. What is that? Anything. So that you can say after suite. So normal ideal condition will use open browser, right, and then close browser, right. Before starting execution, I want to open my browser. After completion of all the test cases, I want to close my browser. So one time activity before test. So in some test cases, I have regression and these things. For regression, I want to check something else, some condition. I want to check some condition. then before test I will check that condition. If that fails, no meaning of executing all the tests, right? For example, you have a some tests related to, okay, what you can say either you want to check some condition. It purely depends. And coming to the before class, the before class, you say you have a class which is having all database verifications, okay? So in the before suit, I'll say, in the before class I'll say db connection. After completion of everything, db disconnect, logic I'll write, something like that. For each and every method I want to execute something. For each and every method I want to execute something that will go inside this, and after each and every method I want to execute something that will go into after method. It's purely your requirement. According to your requirement, you can write the logic. So people normally confuse that before test and before method. So as this is test annotation, right? If you say before test, everybody will say it will execute before this one. But this before test is tag inside this, and before method is before this test annotation. Okay. Now we'll take one example and we'll try to execute and see. So if it is our testng.xml file, okay. So I'll take one class, new class TestNG annotations, finish. Instead of writing such a big code, I'll copy paste and I'll explain you everything. It's not a huge thing. What I just explained, the same thing. You see that I have two test methods. I'll import everything before suite. You see that you need to, for each and every annotation, you need to import. Now I'll explain everything. Okay, I have two test methods. These are all actual test methods. So these are all supporting. So there is no rule to put it should be in the top, it should be on the bottom. Wherever you write, according to this annotation, it will execute. You see that before suit, after suit, I am writing one by one in the same place. And the before class and after class, I am writing. I can put this after class on the top also. Nothing will go wrong. I did not import it. Yeah, I did not import it. Yes. Yeah. So I can put here, no problem. No problem. It will execute without any issues, as this sequence is not important for this. This annotation is important. Okay. As part of this, these two are actual test methods. These are supporting these test methods. So before suit, I want to do something that I mentioned inside this. I mentioned some method name, and inside that I am writing the logic. Here I am just printing something on the console. In the same way after suite and before class. So I have only one suite, testng.xml file. When I execute this, how many times it will execute? Test suite, before suite, only one time. After suite, one time only. In the same way before class, I am executing only one class. For this class, before these two methods execution, it will execute once. Before class and after class. After test and before test. So if you put only one test here, okay, if you put only one test here, it will execute for only that test. And before method, how many times it will execute? It will execute 2 times. The reason is we have two methods. For this method it will execute once, for this method it will execute once, and after test also that will execute once for this test, once again for this test, but remaining things only executes one time, because of I do not have much things here. Okay, but you need to understand the concept. Now if I execute this, you see that console output, you see that before suite, and then before test, and then before class, and then before method, then actual method test1. Then you see that after method completed. But after that what happened? Once again before method and then test case 2, then after method, completion of these two methods, completion of execution these two methods. Then again you see for before class, after class, before test, after test, before suite. Where is the after suite? I did not mention. Yeah, after suite is there. What happened then? Before suite. Before. After method. You see that? After completion of this test, it is giving me, after suite. Right, everything completed, it reported that how many passed, how many failed, after that after suite. Okay, so it is executing perfectly. Alright, this is where you can execute. If you have, actually you have to execute from here. So what I'll do, I'll remove all these things. I'll remove this. Otherwise we'll do one thing. In the regression, I'll remove this. I'll mention this dependency test. Okay. In the dependency test, I'll execute. Both the times I'll execute dependency test only. Both the times I'll execute dependency test. But here it is smoke, it is regression. I have two test tags. So after test, before test, should execute 2 times. Now if I execute from here, run as TestNG suite, failures 2. Okay, why failures 2? Sign into the application. Why sign into the application? In the regression, TestNG dependency tests, run as TestNG suite. In the dependency test, what I have? Sorry, I need to execute TestNG annotations rate. Sorry for that. I mentioned wrong class here. So when I execute this now, you see that very big list. The reason is I am in before suite, I am in after suite. Okay, I am in before test, and again we find I am in before test. You see that from here test to this test, one test for one test tag, and from this test to this test for one test tag. That is smoke, and inside this before class, before method, and after method, and before method, after class. Here also same thing. So this is how you should execute according to your requirement, according to your configuration. This will get executed that many times. Those are called before and after annotations. You need to remember how to use according to your requirement. You need to use that particular annotation. Okay, this is all about execute scripts using TestNG.xml file, dependency tests. And what I can do here, I'll mention assertions. Okay, So we are done with all these things. Okay, that's all in this video. Thank you.